Hey friends, this is Jordan with O&Co Games. We're a tiny indie studio of 4 members making your next favorite 2D platformer, assuming you actually like platformers, because I know they're not for everyone. But if you do like platformers, just give our game a shot. Our game is called Tethergeist, and it is our love letter to Celeste. That's why our hair's red. Obviously, it's still a pretty different game. You have all these ghosty abilities, and the story feels more akin to Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it scratches the same itch. The controls are buttery smooth, and the mechanics and gameplay are a freaking blast. And people keep telling us that they really like this game, so if you don't believe me, at least, I don't know, believe all of these lovely people. Anyway, welcome to our devlog. In recent weeks, I've been low-key losing my mind, working like a madman to try to stay on track with our timeline for this game. And I'm not alone. Everyone at O&Co has been working absurdly hard, so as a result we have tons of new mechanics to show you, and in this video I'll be talking about what all of these new mechanics are, at least to some degree, and I'll dig into how we've been able to playtest them rapidly with tons of people along the way. It's like our not so secret sauce. We are fanatics for playtesting. Anyway, let's get into it. So Tethergeist is organized into 7 chapters, and each chapter has a unique ghost ability associated with these sort of medicines that you can pick up. So for example, chapter 1 introduces the basic split and rejoin mechanic, and you can use it after picking up one of these yellow flowers. Chapter 2 introduces these purple mushrooms that allow you to push and pull yourself towards these jellies, so you can sling yourself around like Spider-Man or Vin from Mistborn. The rest of the chapters all have unique mechanics like this. So at a high level, this is what our process has been. First, I built all of the different abilities just to get a feel for how they might work, and honestly, they've been in the game for several months now, at least at a really primal level. We scrapped a few ideas along the way, but in recent weeks, we've now landed on what we feel is a really solid core set of spirit abilities for each chapter. Second, we went in and refined them to get as close as we could to that feeling of buttery smoothness I mentioned earlier. But as any good game designer knows, you can only get so far testing on your own before you have to get out of your own head and test it with your player base. So our third step was to create these mechanics test rooms where we explore different ways the ghost abilities might be used and how the environment might complement and challenge those abilities in exciting ways. Once we built the mechanics test rooms, we set out recruiting playtesters and scheduled these little 20-minute sessions with them to see how our ideas resonated with them. With that feedback in hand, we went back to our mechanics, fixed and refined them, then ran another round of playtests to ensure our changes made the impact we wanted. And if they didn't, we'd just rinse and repeat, keep running playtests until we got it right. Now, all of this has been happening sequentially over the past several weeks, chapter by chapter, until we arrive at what we know is going to be a super fun experience. So I think to make all of this a little less nebulous, I'll go ahead and walk through the process of one of the chapters. We'll do chapter 4, where a lot of our designs are built around this idea of angles, bouncing, and momentum. So months ago, I first came up with this idea where you could launch your spirit in any direction and it would bounce off of walls until you decided to rejoin. So there's a sort of timing element to it where you have to time your rejoin to safely travel across levels. I also added these on-off switches that activate platforms and walls, and this area that cancels the pinball spirit so we could be more deliberate in our level designs. As we played with this mechanic as a team, it became pretty clear we needed to constrain the launch angles to 45-degree options, as you've been seeing thus far. This not only makes the obstacles more intuitive to design and play, but it also allows us to ensure people playing on controllers versus keyboards have roughly the same experience without one being more constrained than the other, not to mention people who prefer to play on a D-pad on the controller. One of our team members, Jeff, also came up with this idea of adding a teleporter that zaps the spirit to a new location while maintaining its velocity. So all of this came together to form our first pass at these wireframes. And these wireframes are kind of unique in that they aren't necessarily exactly what will go into the final game. Instead, they're built to showcase our mechanic ideas so that we can playtest them before we make full-fledged levels out of them. So we tested these wireframes with tons of people that we recruited through our playtesters emailing list, which we were able to put together from our backers on Kickstarter. So when we had people sign up for this list, we asked them to self-rate their skills at Tethergeist, their familiarity with the demo, and a few other things that we thought would influence our playtesting data and kind of the way they engage with the game as a whole. So using these bits of of info, we've put together a bunch of different cohorts of playtesters that have a spread of skills and experiences, so we can be relatively sure we're testing our game with a pretty broad group of individuals, much like the broadness of our audience when we finally release the game. And every time we would playtest these wireframes, we'd usually get anywhere from like 5 to 10 people in each round of playtests. Anyway, after going through these rounds of playtests, redesigns, and mechanics adjustments, we've arrived at this wireframe of Chapter 4 that has proven it resonates with players, is intuitive to learn, and is genuinely fun to play. So at this point, now we're just off to build the feature length levels, which obviously will also go through several rounds of playtests. And that's what we did for Chapter 4, and we've gone through this same process with every chapter in the game. Well, every chapter except for Chapter 6, which we're literally playtesting this week. So anyway, that's really kind of the meat of what we've been working on for the past several weeks. Hopefully this feels like a nice little sneak peek behind the curtain of how we've created our new mechanics for Tethergeist and what we've been doing to ensure they're actually fun and impactful for players. It's this level of rigor that fuels my excitement for the development of this game, and why I at least hope we might actually be making your next favorite platformer after all. If Tethergeist looks like a game you'd be interested in, we'd be flattered to have you head over to Steam to wishlist it and play our demo. We also have a Discord server where you can chat with us directly, and our awesome community. All of the links you'll need are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.